What's up, YouTube? Hobo Nichol BBQ back with you again. And this week we've got Lewis from Lewis at Our Shack Barbecue. What's up, Lewis?
How you doing?
We're going into character.
How's everybody doing tonight? Let's do this.
All right, real quick, we've got Red's Barbecue and Pizzeria, Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue, Smoky Goodness, Raleigh Smoke, and I know I saw Daddy Dutch Barbecue and Cooking or whatever he's changed his channel name to, and Scott for the grill. So real quick, Scott couldn't make it tonight, so I've got to remember how to do this show by myself. So if it's fucked up, it's on me. What's up, CJ? All right. Lewis, where are you from?
Well, I'm from a very small town. There was 40 people in the small little town I grew up in central Washington, in the middle of a bunch of orchards, basically farming country. Born and raised here. Lived a little while in Seattle, but moved back over to, enjoy life.
Paul's Q, what's up? All right. So family life, wife, kids, dog, chinchilla.
Well, let's see. I have two boys. They're in their 20s now. One of them gave me a grandbaby, so cutest little thing ever. Went through that divorce things, and then got remarried. And my wife has two daughters that are in their 20s too. Have two dogs and a very needy cat. Oh,
All right. So what made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
well, that's an interesting story. Years ago, probably, I want to say 2011, a buddy and I were making videos on a different thing. God, what was it called? Anyway, just making joke videos before Vine. God, what was it called? Anyway, we were making videos, and then we started doing stuff on YouTube, and it was just all for fun. And then I decided to get a Traeger and was looking for recipes, and there wasn't a whole lot out there back then. So then I started filming a little bit of what I was doing on the Traeger, and then started doing little mechanical stuff and different things and making videos. And that's really what it just started out to be, a how-to kind of channel. Many different things.
Yeah, I think one of your most popular videos is a boat motor stand or something like that.
Yeah. How to build a boat motor stand for $20, and it's got like almost 20,000 views now. That was crazy. That was before I knew about monetization or anything like that. I just put that out there.
Right. Paul's Q wants to know how many kettles you own.
Okay. How many kettles do I own, or how many do my wife think I own? That's the question.
Well, if she's watching, answer the question however you think is appropriate.
Yeah. So, wow. Um, if you guys go check out on Facebook, Weber Kettle Club, or Weber Kettle Fans, or Weber Giant Grills, or whatever that is, you would understand that what I have is probably just minor to what some people have, but I probably have close to 30 kettles. Some of them are just lawn art collectibles. Some of them are still in the boxes, and some I use for cooking.
So what brought on this obsession?
Well, that's a good question. I would have to say that I got involved with the local Weber Kettle group here in Washington, and it became kind of a competition to see who could get the kettle first. It was a friendly competition, and there was probably 5 or 6 of us that were, when a kettle came out on Marketplace or Craigslist or OfferUp, we would all start bidding, hey, we'll give you this for it. And then you kind of brag, oh, I'm the one that got it. Now it seems like there's probably 25, 30 people that are looking for kettles. So it's a little hard to get them now, but that's really what started. It was just a competition, and I hate to lose.
So what's the oldest one you got, or the coolest one? I know there's a lot of like strange, not strange, but it's got to be a specific this and a that, etc.
Yeah, it's an interesting story that so I work weekends, and there's about 10 of us that work on the weekends, and I've gotten them all into buying kettles, and I had bought original. We call them SSPs. They're stainless steel performers. They're the first performer with the stainless steel tabletop. I had an extra one of those, and one of the coworkers said, hey, this other guy that works days has this old kettle. And I said, oh, well, we should talk to him. So I went and talked to him and kind of convinced him that he needed this performer with the table and stuff when I found out what he had. So we traded. His wife was like, wait a minute, that may be worth money if he's wanting to trade for it. But anyway, it's a 1969 avocado is what they call it. So it's kind of a off green looking that's faded. And he was using this as his weekend cooker still from 1969. So wow. I am one of mine for it. Excuse me. So that's probably the big find that I have. I found another 1969 red over in Seattle, and I only paid $15 for it. So they're out there. You can find them. But those are probably my two prize things. I do have another one that's called a Happy Cooker. And Happy Cooker was it was marketed through Sears in the mid 80s. But they were so much like Weber that Weber did a copyright infringement lawsuit on them. So the Happy Cookers were only made for 2 years, and then they were told to cease and stop. Well, I happened to pick one up that's still in the box, not assembled. So that was a pretty good find too. I did some horse trading for that, but anyway.
Right. All right. So you're talking about working on the weekends. What's your real job?
Well, my real job is I go in and I push a button, and then I sit back and watch YouTube videos for the rest of the 12 hours that I work. It's kind of interesting. I'm called a senior machinist, and we make military aircraft guidance system parts for missiles and also for laser guidance and things like that. When I got back in the trade, I would say I was more of a machinist. Now it's more of just loading apart and making sure that the program's running correctly and everything's going smoothly. So a lot of downtime. Wait a minute. Let's see. Is there any of my coworkers on? No, I shouldn't be talking about watching YouTube at work. No, they all know I do it pretty much. But I'm more there in case something goes bad, and then we problem solve what has happened and get it back up and running and make it all right. So
cool. Yeah. I see Double J Barbecue showed up. Booger, Christie's Cooking Channel, my good buddy Cooking Green Bastard Style, who if he fucking quits YouTube, I'm gonna come to Canada and hunt him down. So don't do that. You'll make me mad. You don't want a mad hobo.
He had me going. I thought he was being serious. Yeah.
All right. So what do you use to record your videos?
Well, most of my videos, I just use my iPhone 7. I have a Canon T5, but I found that shooting with that and then taking the card out, loading it up on a computer, and then my editing software is apps. So then I have to load it back onto my phone to produce the film. So I pretty much just do everything with my iPhone now. I don't mess around with that.
All right, so I epically failed in my setup for this show. I forgot to bring my pop to mix my bourbon in. So I'm going to ask you Eric's question, and you have to keep going until I get back, which will be a whole 14 seconds. But
All right.
Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue wants to know what your favorite protein to cook is.
My favorite protein. Well, uh, you know, I have always said that I would love to build a monument of a pig because you get bacon, you get pork ribs, you get sausage, you get, you know, oh God, everything that you can make with a pig is great. Pork chops, everything. But I love ribs, and I would have to say that is really the reason why I got into barbecuing is because I wanted to perfect my rib. So baby back ribs is what I like, but you know, I'm not a competition guy or anything like that. So how it turns out is how it turns out, and I'll still eat it.
Right. Christy says, what's pop? Georgia, is that Coke? See, I call pop and soda. I use both terms interchangeably, but I don't call Sprite Coke or whatever the hell you Texas Southern people do. All right. Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin jumped on. He doesn't even need to ask. I know his question is going to be what's your musical preferences, bands, etc.
Well, I'm sorry, Fred, but I have to go country first. And then, which this might surprise a lot of people, I do like my rap. You know, T.I., Eminem, Vanilla Ice. I think Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby is the greatest song ever produced. So I tend to go that. And then 80s rock I really like, but more like Foreigner, Eagles, the Cars. I love the Cars. Um, you know, I'll listen to Motley Crue and AC/DC and, you know, hard rock too, but I prefer country in the car. And older country. I'm not so much of the newer stuff.
I'm reading Green Bastard's comments. He says, get a passport, buddy. I'm almost serious. I think we'd have too much fun drinking. There would actually be no fighting. And we could play some Fallout 4. I've really been surprised, and maybe you've gotten this, that your intro has not gotten you some kind of ding on copyright infraction.
Yeah, that is surprised. And I've even Warren G, you know, he's a barbecue guy, and I've even kind of sent it in a nonchalant way towards him, thinking maybe he'd hear it and then respond to me and say, "Hey, knock it off." But right. Heard anything. So yeah, I have had, like I told Red, I have gotten emails on other songs that were copyrighted, you know, from YouTube saying that, hey, you may run into, you know, but nothing to worry about. But that one, no, I haven't heard or anything, and I've tried to figure out if that's from the movie itself or if it's from his Warren G's song, and it's actually from his song, that intro part. He actually had recorded by Nate Dogg, I think it was.
So I think it's probably so short that it doesn't ping the system.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've seen some other people that had sitting in a restaurant that had stuff in the background that you couldn't even hardly hear.
Yeah.
That dinging. So.
Yeah.
All right. So I got the standard question. That's what cookers do you have? I know you hit on the Traeger and the 30 other Webers. Is there anything else we're missing?
Yeah. That's the other thing. Back after I got the Traeger and was messing around with it, I started watching Philip Riddick, Daddy Cooks, and saw him build the UDS, and I went, "Oh man, that's what I need to do." So I built a UDS following him what he did. So I have that. It doesn't get as much use as I would like, but it's fun to cook with. And then let's see. I had an offset. I only did one cook in the offset ribs, and then they turned out fine. But um, I just didn't ever use it, and it was a cheap one. It wasn't a very expensive one. I'd like to get a nice one sometime. Let's see, and the Weber Smoky Mountains. I'm just getting into them, um, and picked up another Traeger, but I probably picked that up just to flip it, sell it to someone else. But I really, really do like the Weber products. It seems to be pretty easy to use. The Traeger, pellet grills. I will tell everybody, pellet grill is a pellet grill. Yes, you can get into the Yoders and things like that, and they're definitely better built. But your everyday Pit Boss, Grilla Grills, Traeger, um, they're all basically the same, and they're good cookers. Don't get me wrong. And they do produce good things, but it is kind of a set it and forget it type cook. Um, and they're nice. I like them.
You need to get that pig Traeger.
Yeah, what's funny is that I actually had one lined up to pick up for $200, um, and then at the last minute somebody offered him four, so he took it. But my wife was like, "Glad you lost that one." But
there's a hardware store here that's the biggest hardware store in Ohio that has one of those sitting on their showroom floor, and I keep looking at it. I'm like, this would be just great to have in the driveway, just for people driving by to go, "What the hell is that?"
yeah, they actually have another one that's actually like a longhorn cow. It's black. They don't make more, but if you can find an original one of them, they're kind of neat looking.
All right, so I see Meathead showed up, Bloody Ring Ranch showed up. I missed somebody. Hey, there's Tango Joe. Let me scroll up the chat. Nope. Barbecue Pit Dog, that's who I was missing. All right. So who taught you how to cook?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. So growing up, I grew up in what I would say a traditional, non-traditional home where my mom did all the cooking, and we sat at the table and ate dinner. And then when dinner was over or breakfast or whatever, we had to do the dishes and all that. So she never really took the time to teach any of us how to cook. And, I would say that in my early years when I first got married, my ex-wife, she did all the cooking. And I would tell people that when we'd have friends over and stuff, I wanted to be socializing and having a good time. I didn't want to be stuck at a grill flipping meat. So I never really got interested in any type of cooking. And after I got divorced, I went to a party and they had ribs. And I said, oh man, I got to do this. I have to beat this. So I went to Walmart, bought a $20 charcoal grill, bought lighter fluid, bought charcoal, bought ribs, and it went home. And it was a nice hot July evening. And I lived in the second story apartment, and I had a patio, and it was right outside my living room window. And I had that window open, and I lit that charcoal, and all I remember is I'm like sitting there going, "Oh my God, this smells so good," and it took about a half hour to get up to temperature, and I was impatient, so oh, what the heck? I'll throw these ribs on it. Threw the ribs on there, and about 11 o'clock at night, I was tired of that smell of that charcoal coming into the apartment. The ribs weren't done, and it was just becoming miserable. So I ended up just pulling them off and throwing them in the oven and finished cooking them. But I told my brother about this, and my brother lives in Montana, and he is a big time cooker, smoker, hunter, all that stuff. He'll come over and you never know what you're eating because it's a surprise. And then he'll tell you, "Oh, that's raccoon." But I told him about it, and he actually sent me a couple of books by Stephen Reichlin. on how to barbecue and explanation. And I sat down and I read that thing basically front to back. Um, so I tell everybody, my brother really was the motivator that taught me how to cook, and then Steven Reichlin, yeah, that one I have that one too. Um, he uh, he was probably the big guy that really told me about how to do indirect, direct, and watch your temperatures and all that. And then I just started playing. So that's pretty much how I was taught. Um, went from that $20 Weber, or not, it wasn't even a Weber, charcoal grill to a gas grill to a Weber, and then went to the Traeger and started messing around with it.
So Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin wants to know if you're ready for his Niners to beat your Seahawks twice this season.
Yeah, Mr. Fred. You know that's not going to happen, Fred. Sorry. Um, and Fred, I've got something coming to you next week. I'm going to get it in the mail for you. You'll like it. So, but it's not going to happen. And yes, I'm looking forward to stomping the 40 Winers twice a year.
Did you guys sign Kaepernick and you got him an autographed picture you're going to send to him?
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, the rumor is that Seattle, just because Kaepernick, my opinion is that Seattle caught so much heck for the way that they let their players sit on the bench and take a knee and kind of this, they let them be who they are attitude. You notice that they pretty much got rid of everybody that was involved in that. And when they talked to Kaepernick, he wasn't sure if he was going to kneel or how he was going to do his protest. And they decided right now it's not a good time to bring that in with the heat that they got for what they allowed their players to do last season.
Right.
It was a distraction, honestly. But
Right.
I'm all for it. If you got a cause and you want to make a voice, pick your place and your time correctly, is my opinion.
Right. All right. So, what's a weekday meal look like at your house?
Well, a weekday meal. Usually, I do grill probably twice a week, steak or chicken or ribs or something. And then my wife will do it the rest of the week. And we eat a lot of chicken. I will say that. Pasta. We usually have a salad night, but it's pretty basic. We generally do cook. We don't just go out and eat at the restaurants or anything like that. Only on special occasions, but most of the time it's pretty generic food around here.
All right. I meant to do this at the beginning of the show, but I forgot. So there's what's up, Phil and Florence. We're not giving anything away because you'd win. So we've just stopped doing that. But anyways, Phil, nice to have you here. If you guys got any questions you'd like me to add to the thing or want to test out, I didn't tell Lewis this, but we're going to do that today. So if you got one of them oddball questions, kind of like meatheads, who would be on your personal Mount Rushmore, throw them in there. I'm trying to add some different things here to throw people off because, like Lewis said, when I asked him to be on here, he said, "Oh, I can study some of the questions, and I want to keep people on their toes."
I wrote it down.
All right, Phil just said he's taking his name out of the drawing. We were doing a $10 million drawing, Phil, but we won't do it because you bounced out. All right, what's the favorite video you've made and why?
Ooh, wow, I didn't write that one down. Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna have to think. I know this might sound whatever, but I would say that the intro to my channel video that I just did is my favorite because it was a lot of fun putting the pictures that I've used together and going through and doing all that. That was a really good one. Really had a good time doing that. As far as cooking, Um, I think there's one that I did just because it's the best thing I ever ate in my life. Is Korean style short ribs on a kettle. I just love those, and they come out so good every time. So that's probably my second favorite, even though it's probably only had about 20 views, but I really like them.
It's funny because I think I have a Korean barbecue video the same way with ribs that's got like 20 views. Apparently, nobody else likes it, or everybody knows how to make it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing that you know I'm finding that and I don't mean this negatively wise, but so many people make the same type of videos um, that I'm trying to figure out. Okay, what can set what I do a little different than what everyone else, and I'm sure everybody does that, but I think that's where a lot of the the viewer drop goes is because it's I've already seen this by somebody else. So.
All right, so Booger's typing in caps. I'm sorry, Canadians read the chat better than me, Booger. She says Scott wasn't here to read her question. What is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to food? And I want to say hi to Mike from Everyday Barbecue. He just popped on also.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Um, I'm glad I hope my wife isn't on. I'm one of those guys that says a perfectly good steak does not need steak sauce. You ruin it by putting steak sauce on it. But she puts steak sauce on hers no matter what. So that's one of my big pet peeves: steak sauce on a good steak.
All right, so Christy's Cooking Channel wants to know where Scott is. I can give you two answers. Either A, he had something he had to take care of tonight, or B, he wanted a raise and I couldn't afford it. So go with whichever answer works for you. um, all right, funniest thing that's happened while recording that we never saw after editing.
Well, I did a video of mozzarella cheese sticks in a cast iron pot. And I took them out and put them on the plate. And, I was outside and I was going to take them in the house. Well, when I picked up the plate and I turned, where did they all go? But on the ground. So the dogs enjoyed some mozzarella cheese sticks. But yeah, that was probably the worst thing. Um, I would say that, there's always that time when the dogs are outside and somebody walks by and they just start going crazy, and it's just you're trying to video and it's like, why does it have to happen right now? But yeah, I think that's the worst thing that ever happened was me losing all the mozzarella sticks and had to redo it.
I have the same problem with birds. All right, Christy says her guess is answer B. You're probably right, Christy, but you're not. Johnny, Texas Style Cuisine, what's up? He just showed up. And Red Banks, who is now Red's Pizzeria and Barbecue, I didn't write it down, wants to know what your worst restaurant experience was.
Um, you know, so back in when I was going to college, I worked at a pizza joint and learned right away that you just keep your mouth shut. You don't become that one customer that's got to complain because things happen that you don't know about. Uh, so I have to say the worst experience I ever had, and I told Johnny this. I went to a restaurant and they had on the menu chicken fried steak, and I was like, "Oh man, this must be really good. Chicken that's fried like a steak. Oh yeah." And to come to find out, basically they just took a hamburger patty and smashed the crap out of it and breaded it and then put gravy on top of it. I was so disappointed. That was I ate it, but I was expecting something else. Um, I'd have to say that probably another bad thing is that long wait time. Um, my wife and I went to a restaurant and got stuck in the put in the corner and kind of forgotten about. Uh, so we ended up walking out of there, but those that happens, but I don't generally cause a big scene at the restaurant. I want to be able to enjoy my food. No
I'm
matter.
always worried if I say something, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Send it back, and God knows what's on it now.
Exactly. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue wants to know if you've ever made something on film that didn't taste good, but you had to pretend it did.
uh, no, I have not. Everything comes out great. Yeah, it happens all the time, to tell you the truth. That I shouldn't say happens all the time. And I'm trying to think. There was one thing that I made that I actually wanted to do up a follow up video and just say, you know what, it didn't turn out quite like I expected, and then make it over again. But yeah, I can't think. I don't remember what it is right now. But yeah, it has happened. You just learn to smile and go, oh, yum.
I
Yeah.
don't. Booger, are you asking Joe or are you asking me? Because Joe asked and I missed it. All right, Mr. Mega Fred's up on wants to know if you ever cooked tri-tip.
Yes, I have. Yeah, we can. That is one thing I think. They say it's a California thing, but you can get it here in Washington pretty easy too, and it's really good. I like tri-tip. To me, it's a lot like a brisket as far as if you cook it too long, then it dries out. So you really have to monitor your cook times on it to keep it moist, but it's good. I like it.
All right, so Booger said yes, and I forgot how I asked the question, so fuck it. What's the most exotic meat you've cooked and enjoyed? And if it's for Joe, then ha.
um, wow. You know, I did do frog legs, fried frog legs once, um, and they do taste a lot like chicken, but they do have an aftertaste that just won't go away. So it was a one and done thing. But that's probably the most exotic. Like I said, my brother, he'll bring over any type of roadkill. He works for the state highway there in Montana, and they do roadkill cleanup. So he makes some interesting meals out of things that he brings over. Um, I will say that we never know. He waits till after he tastes it. He goes, "Here, try this," and then he'll tell you, "Oh yeah, that was possum." You're like, "Ooh, yeah," but
That's almost scary.
yeah. And the worst part is, um, it was kind of funny. We did a party here at the house, and adult drinks were involved and things like that. Well, he decided he wanted to do eggs, hard boiled eggs on one of the grills, and totally forgot about them until they started blowing up inside the grill. That, that was interesting. I had to clean it up. He wouldn't clean my grill because he's an older brother, so I had to do it. But
All right, so Daddy Dutch. God damn it. It was so much easier when his name was Kent Vanderweerd, and I was one of the only people that pronounced it right. Wants to know who your favorite YouTuber is.
my favorite YouTuber. Wow. Well, I really like Justin at Baby Back Maniac. Um, I love his sense of humor, and you can talk to him and he'll respond and things like that. I really enjoy conversing with him through the channels. But yeah, he's probably my.
Yeah, Justin's a really great guy. All right. Segueing into the next question. Three channels you watch, one big, one small, and one you think should be much bigger than they currently are.
All righty. See, I wrote these down because I knew this was coming. Um, I'm just going to name a few of the. I mean, I watch pretty much all the same ones. T. Roy Cooks, Baby Back Maniac, How to Barbecue Right, and then Daddy Cooks. I watch all them. I'd say they're all the really big ones I watch. Um, there's another one that I watch, and it's not even cooking related. He does do food reviews. Um, and I'm trying to think. I think it's the Weekly Report, and
Yep.
he's a young guy, and he's got just a weird presence. Uh, but it's very entertaining to watch, and I enjoy, watching him while I'm monitoring my work machine. But so I watch those. Let's see, some of them that I would say are should be on their way to being big. Is first one would be obviously Red Banks at Red's Barbecue and Pizzeria. Um, I just think the way that he's he presents himself on camera and the cooks that he's doing, the Brazilian cooks, and his worldly knowledge of what he's doing is just awesome. And he told me that if I plugged him, he would send me his pizza dough recipe. So thanks, Red. Um, Another one would be Cooking with CJ. That guy, he just cracks me up, and he's pretty good in the kitchen, and I really enjoy watching him. Another one that he's got over 1,000 views or subs, but I don't know if so many people here really follow him. But it's Del Merva Backyard. Um, the guy is very knowledgeable when it comes to barbecuing, and he has some history. Um, it's pretty entertaining to watch him and learn stuff from him. And then one small channel that I watch that I think is going to be pretty big is Harshman Barbecue. And Rich at Rich's Rivers Smokers, West Virginia, met him at a competition, and kind of gave him a shout out. So I started watching him, and he does some pretty good competition type barbecuing if you want to get into that. But that's the small channel. I think he's like just over 100 now.
I'm sitting here looking at Delmarva because that name sounded familiar. I'm subscribed to him, but I couldn't. I had to put a face with the name. Now I'm trying not to close this out and screw this entire show up.
He did a video where he talked about the percentages and everything of barbecues that people have in their backyard. And it was a very informative video on the history of barbecuing, and especially here in the States.
All right. I think I'm caught up in the chat. If I didn't ask your question, retype it. All right. Christy's Cooking Channel wants to know what's the best and the worst thing you've ever cooked.
Oh, well, yeah. Um, See, I just did some chicken thighs with a homemade barbecue sauce, and no, I'm not going to give out the recipe. Um, I swore to secrecy on it, but I can tell you if you do a Sweet Baby Ray's homemade barbecue sauce search, you'll get very close to it. Um, but that barbecue sauce was just amazingly the right amounts of sweet and the right amount of spice to it. It was just amazing. And I'm gonna go over and do what Kent did. I'm gonna watch his video on competition thighs, and I'm gonna follow how he did that. And I'm gonna use the same sauce on it and see how that turns out. That was really really good. Boy, you know, I would say the worst thing that I was throwing a party, and my pellet grill decided to smolder and smother the fire out right in the middle of. I was like at the 2.5 hour of ribs getting ready to wrap, and it just stalled out. And basically, I had to pull them all off, and people were expecting to be eaten, in a short amount of time, and I had to clean the ash out of it and everything, trying to get it back up to running. And that was probably the worst thing, that timing wise of everything, because I had so many people expecting to eat this. and it turned out not to be. And they had to wait. But that was my worst cook, I'd have to say.
All right, Ray Mack just showed up. What's up, Ray? And Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin is setting you up for failure, and I'm going to let it happen.
All right.
He wants you to say toy boat 5 times.
Say what?
Toy boat 5 times.
Okay. Toy boat, toy boy, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
I think that was 5.
I'm going to teach Fred how to do this so he can be in the hot seat, and we'll get back at him. Toy boat.
All right. If this is a Mrs. Barlow question.
All right.
If Hollywood decided to make a movie about your YouTube channel, what actor would you want to portray you in the movie?
Bobby, what is it? Bobby Joe Thornton. I want him to be me.
Billy Joe Thornton or Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah, that's who I want. Yeah. I love his dry sense of humor. So I think he would do me justice. And his no nonsense on top of it. The only thing is he'd probably be smoking a cigarette while he was cooking and ash would fall on the food. But
look at the chat, read Red's question that just popped up and answer it. If you just let me know, I'll ask it. But if you want to take a pass, you always have that option.
All right.
You want me to ask it?
Keep in mind, I'm old. So
all right. So Red wants to know if you had a hall pass, who would it be for?
Cindy Crawford. Yeah, Cindy Crawford. If I had to go young, that's a
careful
hope. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Cindy Crawford for now.
We've hit a new low in the hot seat. I don't know what the right answer is. All right. I got 4 questions left, so if anybody has anything, start piling it in now and pile it in hard and fast. Yes, Booger, I think you called Cindy Crawford old, but I think you have to put it on a scale
Cindy
of...
Crawford is born in May, and I was born in July. We're the same age. So.
See, Booger made it awkward because she put she's my age, and now I'm stuck in this. How do I wiggle out of this one?
Ooh, yeah.
She's old to a new guy that was born yesterday.
Yeah.
Scott wants to know if I asked you when's the regulator barbecue sauce coming out.
You'd be surprised probably soon. I'll just leave it at that. Soon. Once I've sent Scott some stuff up. I was surprised of what they charged to send crap across the border. You figure Canada's close enough to the United States that they wouldn't have such strict rules, but they got to do the customs and all that crap. But as Scott knows.
What does it cost? Is it twice as much? 3 times as much? Ballpark?
It's probably twice as much. I think it's like $30 to send something up, some sauce up there and stuff. So, but it takes about a month too. And, the funny thing is Scott is only like 4 to 5 hours from where I'm at. I could drive it up there quicker and probably less money, but we're fairly close. He's almost a stone's throw away from me.
I love reading the chat. Ray Mack wants to know if you could do a collaboration with anyone on YouTube, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow. So let me put it this way. Let me throw this out here. I thought of this idea of doing a collaboration. I was going to call it a 3-ingredient collaboration where you send like a spice. Let's see, and you say, what was it? Anyway, you pick 3 ingredients and you send it to somebody, and they have to make a video using those 3 ingredients within 24 hours of opening the box. So they don't have a whole lot of time to think about, how they're going to prepare it and everything like that. They open the box and then they have to do it. Kind of a TV show, Cooking Network type surprise. But if anybody's interested, let me know. Maybe we'll get this going. But collaboration wise, boy, I'm pretty much open to doing collaboration with anybody. I will say that, sorry, Booger, I don't have an air fryer. So that would have to be a consideration. But I tried to win one off her channel, but, didn't work out for me. But, yeah.
Did Phil win? Did Phil and Florence win it?
Yeah, that's funny. I don't think Phil knew about it. All right.
All right. Red wants to know, stretch this one out because I got to take a pee break.
All right.
If you're on a desert island, what 3 things would you absolutely have to bring?
All right, Red. Wow. If you ask my wife, she would say my phone, definitely, because it goes everywhere with me and is always out. But I would have to have something to cook with, open fire or whatever. So matches, get a fire going. I'm at a point where camping to me is a Motel 6 or an RV. I'm not doing the tent thing anymore. So I definitely need some kind of walled camp environment. So a tent, trailer. I had one of those. I didn't like it. So something with solid walls. And the third thing would be, well, because I'm a redhead and I have fair skin, I would have to have some kind of sunscreen because I would just turn into a lobster if I did. So I don't think he washed his hands, but that's just my opinion.
Not touching anything. But yes, I did. I don't think I missed anything. All right. What's your guilty food pleasure?
My guilty food pleasure, pizza. I'd have to say pizza. I personally just like Canadian bacon and pineapple. But it's something, a combination is always good too. But pizza is what would be my go-to pleasure. And if anybody knows me, they know that I like circus peanuts, which is the marshmallow orange candies at the dollar store. I always have to have that. And Twizzlers, strawberry Twizzlers. I eat those at work. So my wife is always on me about my junk food. But you only live once, what I say.
Christy, they're called tongs, not tweezers. All right. Who would be on your personal Mount Rushmore?
All righty. This is a good question. I like this question. I have to say I do like it. My personal Mount Rushmore would have to be John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and then my high school football coach and English teacher. His name is Joe Warsham. Really was like a mentor to me in high school, to all of us, really. What a great guy. He would be up there. And then last one would be Richard Simmons. And because you always got to add that one thing to make people go, what the heck? So for no reason other than to make people go, why? Richard Simmons.
Booger says, and Cindy Crawford.
And Cindy Crawford, yes.
All right, last 2 questions. If you could cook with one person from any time period in the world, who would it be?
Yeah. That's, this, I don't particularly like him, but I would love to cook with him, and that's Bobby Flay. I would love to just get in his backyard and have a good time cooking with him. But for some reason, I really don't care for him, but I think he's a good cook, and he'd be fun to cook with.
I lied to you. We've got two more questions.
All right.
What's one thing that most people don't know about you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So most people don't know that I have 4 guitars, and all they are is art, because I don't know how to play a freaking thing on those things. It hurts my fingers. I can't make any sound. I can't count. I don't know anything about them. So they're just art. And I would love to learn how to play them, but I can't. So, and then I also have a twin sister, and she and I are very competitive. Um, it's a lot of fun, but we love each other. But it's a fun competition.
Cool. All right, so something I'm starting as of this week that's gone on before, but I've not announced it. We're going to start a after the hot seat. So after we get done, I will put a link in the live chat, or if anybody clicks on it with the Google Chrome browser or their phone, they can come into a hangout, which is not actually on YouTube, and we all just kind of bullshit and give each other a hard time. So if anybody's interested in that, it'll be there. I'll send it out to the normal groups that I normally do. All right, last question of the show. Who would you like to see in the hot seat in the future?
Yeah. I'd really like to see Mr. Mega Fred Zeppelin in here. Uh, I think he'd be fun. Um, he'd be my top guy. Uh, now, did has Big Lou been on it? Big Lou?
Big Lou is at the very, very beginning.
Okay. I couldn't remember if he was or not, but I do want to see Mega Fred get on here. And love to see him do it. Um, yeah, you've had some of the few of them, like Malcolm Reed. That was a good one. I really enjoyed that. Um, Greg there at Ballistic, he was awesome. But yeah, I'm just going to go with Mega Fred for now.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Lewis, don't exit out of here, but I'll give you the final words, anything you want to say, etc.
Um, I for me doing the videos, I just really enjoy the filming of them, the cooking and the eating. Um, I never really wanted to do this as like, oh, let's see, I can make money doing this. That never even crossed my mind. It was just having fun. And then, I stumbled across a couple of your videos, one of your videos, and you just cracked me up. You need to get back out there and cook more. And your blooper reels, everything was just like, oh. And then you kind of created the YouTube cooks thing, and that was awesome. And everybody, I appreciate every one of you out there. And I try to watch everybody's videos because you guys have so much talent. And I do learn from every one of you. I just wanted to say thank you, Chris, for creating not only YouTube's cooks, but also this hot seat, because it's been awesome learning from these people and then chatting with them and having a good time. And I really appreciate that. And that's what keeps me going. I'm not worried about how many subs I have or, my monetization and all that. That'll happen when it happens. But I'm having time, and I want to say thank you to everybody out there.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to put the link in the live chat now. I have no idea how well or bad this is going to go. We're going to sign off, and we will see you next week. Did it not work? Oh, there's a little arrow. There it is. All right. If you want to come hang out, hang out. If not, see you guys next week. Goodbye.